Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well today. Um, so today we have Mingsheng, Emmanuel, Gabby to give their presentation for STC ARS. Everyone will have 20 minutes, 15 minutes for their presentation, and 5 minutes for Q&A. So let's start our first presentation. Mingsheng, can you start your presentation?
Yeah, sure. Let me
Yeah.
share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Mingsheng Yang, and today I'm gonna talk about the iOS application development for child developmental milestones. Here is the agenda that shows everything that we're gonna talk about today. And first of all is the problem statement. Now, as a father of two children, I am always frustrated and confused by the clutter of information online and hope to find a software, especially a mobile application to remind me of children's growth plan, whether their behaviors or their developmental data meets the standards, as well as a storyline to record their daily interesting moments. Yeah, and this is my son, and this is my daughter. Okay, so yeah, as you may notice that many websites only provide various guidelines and tips without a good user interface, and parents cannot store their children's information and can only evaluate their children based on the information online. And parents are also lack of knowing when to get the vaccinated, why they are given, and what the effects and the side effects are, according to this situation of their own, according to the situation of their own children. So this is the background. So basically, it gives us a sign that parents are paying more attention to their children, especially for kids who are under 5 years old. However, parents may encounter many difficulties in the way of parenting. There will always be some problems that trouble parents. Before, parenting experience was spread word by word or through the books or the mails. And now people are getting used to the internet and mobile. That's why I think there is a marketplace for this kind of application. So yeah, as we said, with the development of the information and the science technology, many people are using mobile phones and websites to connect with friends, browse the internet, or file connect management, or document creation, processing, or entertainment. So this software application are easy to use and accessible from anywhere. So why would we choose mobile app instead of a web application? I think the major reason is because of regular usage. So we spend a lot of time on our mobiles during the day. You may be able to live without your computer, but you can without your phone. So yeah, and my family is using iOS devices instead of Android. So that's why I decided to create a mobile app. And let's talk about the application architecture. So now for most of the apps use the design pattern of the combination of the tab bar and the navigation controller. So which is also a very classic framework design pattern for iOS. And each interface has its own navigation controller and the interface jumps also have their own stack. So this will be more flexible for the application. This shows the object models of my application based on the user cases. Program classes are identified. That is the child class, the milestone manager, appointment class, the growth data, and child moments. So yeah, let's talk about the MVC. MVC is a commonly used software development pattern, which means model, view, and controller. So when a user operates on a view, the controller modifies the corresponding model, and the model changes. The model is responsible for what is displayed on the view, and if the model data is changed, then the display status of the view will update accordingly. And the views are used to display the layers or GUI. And the controller is the glue between the model and the views. It is responsible for updating the different views. In this object for our models, there are child, the management class and checkup class, milestone class, growth class, and the moment class. So about the deployment, in order to save the data, yeah, I'm using the programming data, programming language as Swift. And these are the third-party packages that I'm using. And these are the data storage. So in order to save data persistently in iOS development, we usually have these 5 ways. So in this project, I use the plist and the core data. So because there's some recommended size of the plist file, that is the couple of 100 gig file. So yeah, if large files like images need to be stored on the local device, then we should use the core data. Okay, this software adopted WHO and CDC clinical growth charts and child developmental milestone statistics. This reliable of official measures and data to help parents fully understand their children's growth, uh, development, and the dietary nutrition. Okay, let's move into the application design. So we have 5 views. One is the profile, and this one is the checkup view, and this one is the milestone, and this one is the growth graph, and this one is the moments. So I'll show you in details in demo. So this view, we have 2 parts. One is showing the child profile, and this one is for parents to end their child profile. And if you click on edit, the add button right here, it will show you the screen to enter the child name and the date of birth and the gender. If you put nothing in child name, it will give you an alert. So we end our data here. And if you swipe the cell to the left, then you'll get the delete button. And it prompt alerts to show that you can delete the profile. And if you click on the edit, then it will show the current profile that you want to edit, and then click on the update to update the corresponding profile. Okay, next is the checkout page. So this one shows the child details and like the today's age. Oh, and next checkup time and the next medicine and the types of the section. And if you click on this button, it will give you a redirect to a new page. Yeah, this page. You can end an appointment here and type in the type, the date and time, and provide name. And like outgrow the questions, coffee, or the notes, uh, like any suggestions. So after that, we click on the add appointments, and then it goes back and the record will be shown here as the upcoming appointment. So in this page shows the child's entire month and the milestones. These milestones data are from the CTC developmental milestones. And if we change the children's name, then the data will be displayed again once. Yeah, and all the information, all the selected cell will be saved locally, and even you close this app, then it will show up again when once the application launched. So these are the growth graph. It shows the length and weight and the head data. Yeah, so users can view their children's data here, and they can also add data, and it will show up here to compare the third percentile BMI value or anything else. So for children who is older than 2 years old, the IBM will be shown up at instead of the head. Okay, that's so this is the moment. When you click on the take a picture, it will give you an options. You can either take a picture or choose from the album. After you pick a picture, then you add some descriptions. This is Ben. That's my son. And if you click on confirm, it will show here. And if you change the child profile, then it will show the different things there. Okay, yeah, that is the demo of my mobile application. So this is the results and the comparison. So two popular mobile apps and website which explain all the fantastic development changes are collected to compare different features and pros and cons. So we have Baby Sharks, milestones, and CDC websites in this. And our highlights are that we are using 100% local data storage, so you don't have to have internet when you run this app, and we are not going to collect any privacy information from user. And features like child profiles, activities, and milestones, growth trackers, and appointments can fulfill users' needs for parenting their children. Okay, this is the conclusion part. So this paper explores in depth the application development in iOS system, including technical theory, data flow, programming implementation, interface interaction design. We provide an example for general software development based on iOS system with a good practical reference value and certain theoretical reference value. So this mobile application is a comprehensive baby growth recording tool where parents can record their baby's life, growth, records, and children's milestones, which can help parents analyze their children's growth. Okay, this is the future work. As discussed in our results, this application does not have classes and articles. As you can see here, we don't have classes and articles features, which can be this can be a long process to gather and create this data. So we may implement these features in the future. In the meantime, there's still some improvements for this application because the time is very short and limited. So for example, the images are too big, so which makes the moments load time longer. If we can use caches or something else to load the pictures beforehand, then it may increase the user experience. These are the key references, and yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for watching.
Great work. Is anybody having any question for Mingsheng? Okay, then let's move on to the next presentation. Emmanuel, can you start your presentation, please?
Yes, let me share my screen.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Delgado. I am working on my master in science and computer science, and I focus my capstone project on dependency scanners for humanitarian open source projects. uh, Part of my motivation to do this because humanitarian open source projects are a very noble way to share our skills in technology and use for cause for humanity to help to different issues as a health, poverty in other countries and in our own countries. Also, open source projects and humanitarian are a very good way to collaborate, to network, to meet others with the same skills and interests, and also learn from others. In this case, I chose for my project Libre Food Pantry community building. It's a community building free open source software for food pantries that support for locals food pantries to offer quality and free platform for those who try to build food pantries. Um, Despite all the advantages that we are having in technology and collaboration, we still have a big security issue that is growing exponentially as we go and advance in technology. And cause of vulnerabilities are very expensive for private sector, but even more for open source projects that sometimes are lack of funds and doesn't have an economic incentive. As you see in the graphic, our vulnerability that is not fixed at the beginning of the software development life cycle can be as cost as much as 30 times in comparison if it's fixed early in the life cycle. Continue with this. Um, okay. Open source projects, as I mentioned, are very excellent, but also one of the problems that we can find open source projects is, as I mentioned, the lack of economic incentive also sometimes force developer to use open source code. Open source code definitely are a great way to innovate and offer new features and integrate new features in our applications, but also that come with a cost, and the cost is security. Sometimes, or most of the time, open source code, we don't manage and control the new versions, and sometimes those new versions are not applicable on time, and those patches for the open source code don't come fast enough to mitigate vulnerabilities. That creates a big hole, a big necessity in applied cybersecurity architecture and uh, policies to maintain open source projects free of vulnerabilities. Um, this out of dependency scanners is the approach that I took to help this particular open source project. And I use GitLab, uh, which is a platform for a code repo that we can apply different scanners in the CI/CD pipeline. Uh, Auto dependency scanners can analyze source code projects and check for vulnerabilities, and can automatically find and report any unpatched system, and uh, check our code against to vulnerability databases. Also, um, the same application, that's the approach I take against to the LibreFruit Pantry source code, where we apply different vulnerability scanners that can be applied in GitLab depending of the area that we want to focus. In this case, I utilize Gripe. Gripe is one vulnerability scanners that focus on different applications as the containers. Also, we can check file system, and we can change for version of our software, report how those vulnerabilities are, and if it's a patch available or not, and the level of severity of these vulnerabilities. Also, another tools that I interact with and I integrate into the our security C and our CI/CD is Thrive, such another excellent security vulnerability scanner that is also help for containers, and scan the containers in the pipeline in and report. Um, these reports can be applied in different areas, and can be exported in different ways and different method, and they can be then report to the before to integrate this software to the main branch of our code. We can report and tell what had to be patched and what is patchable or not in a different branch. Um, Different studies show that 90% of the vulnerabilities in a system comes through the application layer. Um, Despite of this, we still expend around 90% of the effort trying to secure our system to the network layer of the OICD. Um, that means we still have a uh, very long way to go in order to create and maintain a culture of secure software within developers. And that's one of the reasons I consider this very important, that uh, we still develop, we still create very secure and focus when we developing, uh, focus on how secure it is and how can we patch and make sure our effort to help others or to develop one application is not just destroyed for one malicious code. Um, as I mentioned before, GitLab is a very intuitive uh, uh, code repository where we can interact with our code, create a pipeline, and create a YAML file. YAML file basically give us the control of how we can build, test our code, and report. In this case, if you can see, as you see in the slideshow, this is an example that I build in different stages and apply different security scanners as a template that I already predefined in GitLab and are very easy to implement in our code, in our CI/CD. In this case, you can see that I build and test, and after this, I just wanted to focus in this time in testing the project, testing the code, make sure if it's running and if it's what is report coming out of this test. In this occasion, I applied SAS scanner, dependency scanner, and licensing scanners. As we may know, licensing is a very important topic that we have to make sure when we're working with open source code, we take care, because we can easily get in trouble with the commercial license and permissions, and we want to make sure those licenses are in place and we can continue working and developing our code safely and without trouble. And also, we scan our credentials. Here, credentials is another topic that is very important, because if the credentials are not secure, basically a malicious actor can take over very quick of our code, can impersonate uh, in once this code is distributed to hundreds or thousands of people, basically those malicious actors have access to whatever code injection, for example, they did in our code. Um, as I mentioned before, we can add multiple scanners. There are predefined in GitLab and accessible, and with a simple script can be added to our pipeline, and we can go ahead and run it. We can see the report. In the report, we're going to see what kind of vulnerabilities these scanners found, and if run, what is found in this. That helped us because it also gave us the version that of the software that is vulnerable, and we can find if it's another later version that is already patched the problem that we have. In this case, the five um, vulnerability scanners that apply, he also report that it's passed. That means they didn't find any vulnerabilities in the personal experience that I have. And as I see, we have two stages. We can add more stages. We can add more uh, scanners as we desire, depending of what do we want to focus on. Also, in this, we have different stages that we can build in our CI/CD pipeline. In this case, I focus on two stages. Is wasn't built, the software to make sure it built correctly, but also to make sure those tests, those parts are testing the right way. Um, okay, this dependency scanners, also one of the benefits that we have is not just they report our vulnerabilities, but I also one experiment that I made is I run those independent scanners in my local computer and export it as a CSV file. One of the benefits that also is room for improvement here is once you export in different format like a CSV file, in my case, I integrated with Google Colab and apply Python and pandas and data science to explore the data, explore the vulnerabilities, see how much percentage of this code is vulnerable. And we can find patterns in our project. We can find patterns in different versions that we are producing and take decisions based on the output of that data. This is very important for the CEOs and the management of a big project, take decisions and maybe modify the response, modify the cybersecurity strategy that we utilize in our project. As we mentioned before, security is a big concern because we are advancing in technology. We are developing modern codes, and every day the technology is growing, but the cyber attacks grow exponentially, and sometimes it's growing faster and than the time that we can patch our code. That's why it's important to make sure before to integrate our branch to the main line, we run the necessary scanners and flag any vulnerable part to make sure open source project like the Libre Fruit Pantry aware and we don't causing any harm helping those kind of project. Um, as I'm saying, this can be improved. Project can be improved. We can definitely apply data science and to these vulnerability scanners, we can apply artificial intelligence to analyze the output of our code, to analyze what is the greatest vulnerabilities, and we can definitely see what is the most common weakness of the code and try to integrate and increase the effort in certain areas. This is a good way to improve this project and definitely is a way to go. This is my project. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. That's a nice presentation. Is anybody having any questions for Emmanuel? Okay, then let's go on to the next presentation. Gabby, can you give your presentation?
Yes. Let's see if I can share my screen. Can you guys see that, or do you guys see the presenter mode?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, I just want to make sure you don't see the presenter mode. Okay, hello all, I'm Gabby Morgan, and this is my capstone topic, an analysis of the psychology behind potential education and training as it applies to organizational security awareness. This is to complete my master's degree in cybersecurity. Here's the agenda. So I'll be going over through an introduction, the problem and motivation of my project, my approach, background and related work, the state of cybersecurity, and then I'll be introducing some psychological theories and some methods that use these theories for potential cybersecurity training, education, and development, along with a couple of example organizations. The introduction. So cybersecurity and psychology are two vast subjects with many subtopics and fields of study. Psychology is the study of the mind and behavior and has adapted over the centuries as humans have evolved. Part of this evolution includes the advancement of technology, which brings us to the term of cyberpsychology, which is the discipline of understanding the psychological processes related to and underlying all aspects and features of technologically interconnected human behavior. So basically, how people interact and behave with technology. We can all think of examples of how people interact on social media. They'll behave one way online and another in person. My paper focuses on cyberpsychology and the use of cybersecurity training and education materials to drive security awareness. The problem and motivation. The problem I'm approaching is that many organizations have boring, ineffective security awareness programs, oftentimes just once a year. How can routine education and training in psychology better suit organizations in training their employees about cybersecurity and creating actual security awareness? How can this create a more resilient human firewall and implement a cybersecurity culture where individuals actively change their poor security habits to new habits that create better network or digital citizens? I hypothesize that by incorporating more effective methods, organizations will enhance their information security awareness, improve their employees' quality of life by connecting what they learn about cybersecurity into their own personal lives, and most desirable, to reduce security breaches and save an organization money. My motivation in this research has been primarily driven by the fact that I already have a bachelor's degree in psychology and currently getting this master's in cybersecurity. I thought it would be fun to mesh the two and explore an important topic, security awareness. My approach to this project is mostly qualitative by trying to find better methods of educating and training employees and end users that are rooted in psychology. So mostly just trying to find already completed studies. No actual data was collected on my behalf, so I didn't use surveys or interviews or anything like that. It focuses more on the analysis of current and potential methods, although to prove points and demonstrate effectiveness, quantified data was sourced and cited to demonstrate the current state of cybersecurity and whether products were effective or not. Some background work I read through and used in my report included key terms such as cyberpsychology, which I've already defined, but I'll mainly just use the term psychology because there's a lot of different subtopics that all intertwine. A key term I use a lot is telepresence, the feeling of being immersed in technology. Technology has really made some actions feel seamless. Like many of us studying or working in this area right now, we can appreciate code, cryptographic algorithms, and the seamlessness of logging into our baking website from our phones, but others might not. And this is where threats can lie, especially in a workplace. Lurking, this is when users are present but not interactive in a system. They assume they're invisible. This is often seen when people, surf the internet on company hardware or going through file systems they have access to but probably shouldn't. Minimization of status. This is the struggle of getting users to do anything with authority via the internet. And that's just because people simply resist when someone tells them to do something. I believe this is a struggle security teams have with compliance-based programs. Some methods to make education and training more effective include gamification, relatability, motivation with incentivization, positive reinforcement, and reciprocity. These all tend to play into each other. Some essential elements that were explored include emotional persuasion, which is something that is achieved with the use of methods like positive reinforcement and propaganda, but not the creepy World War II type. Having material that is more relatable or personable and explains why it is important can help effectively change a user's behavior. Emotional persuasion is also aided with the idea that one should not focus so heavily on conformity and compliance and to avoid using fear-based methods like 3 strikes and you're out. Another essential element is network or digital citizenship. This involves better understanding of technology and networks as it applies to information security. I like to think of this as visiting or moving to another country. You want to do the research first. Though through my research, I found that experiential learning, reinforcement theory, and reciprocity can aid development for better materials that incorporate gamification and increased motivation, all of which will be discussed. The state of cybersecurity. Here are some statistics to kind of demonstrate the state of organizational cybersecurity, including that 82% of data breaches involve a human element, which could include stolen credentials, phishing, or human error. In 2021, there was $2.4 billion in loss from email compromise alone. Phishing compromise doubled. Phishing doubled in 2020, in part due to the advent of remote working caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Over half of all information security breaches involved employees' poor information security compliances. Many cybersecurity training and awareness programs are boring and ineffective, thus creating a vulnerable human defense. They rely too heavily on technical solutions to try and control human-made decisions. This is just a snapshot of the data available that essentially says humans do not do a very good job with security best practices. One must see that the lack of good cybersecurity training is directly tied to the high rates of data breaches. So the first theory I'll cover is experiential learning. This is learning by doing. The Kolb cycle of experiential learning goes through four main phases: the actual experience, then reflective observation, which is reflecting on the experience. Next is abstract conceptualization, the learning from the experience, perceptions to concepts. Then active experimentation, trying out what you learned. It applies what you know to a certain activity, followed by reflection, thus creating knowledge from the experience as a whole. Learning is not one and done either. Experiences should be repeated and expanded. One successful phishing simulation does not a phishing expert make. Motivation, rewards and punishment. Incentivization is a goal a person can work toward that makes one feel good inside. The neurotransmitters in our brain that are released when this happens wire humans toward gratification of achieving something, especially obtaining an actual object like merch or a trophy, plaques. Positive reinforcement can be used with rewards to produce a desired behavior and increase learning. Reinforcement also works with the concept of aversion, to avoid a certain action, like not clicking a phishing link. Positive actions should be highly recognized and celebrated by upper management to further reinforce targeted behaviors. Reciprocity is something we often see with loyalty and marketing programs. The rule of reciprocity is a social norm. It is the process of exchanging things and actions with others for mutual gain. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's even used within the National Institute of Information Technology, or NIST, defining it as a mutual agreement among participating organizations to accept each other's security assessments in order to reuse information system resources and/or to accept each other's assessed security posture in order to share information. Reciprocity and positive information go well together, as positive reinforcement is the prize one gets after doing something like report a suspicious email. The reciprocity part is when a human feels the need to continue to do better. And when people feel good about something, they continue to want to do it. Some organizations discussed later give examples of open communication channels that their employees could use to report possible phishing attempts or simulations. While the idea of a phishing simulation is for someone to see and report it, by using this channel, other employees may be inspired to do the same, thereby cultivating a more security-focused community. Gamification is a method with great potential. So many things we interact with are gamified, like our fitness trackers, social media pages, and forums, to actual games people play, like with maps, avatars, competitions, etc. It can be used to increase security awareness and provide better security education and training. There are already some games designed to fight against phishing and raise knowledge of emerging cyber threats such as Hawks Hunt and Game of Threats. Gamification works in part because it uses experiential knowledge. We learn by doing and reflecting. It's more fun and engaging versus a typical cybersecurity training scenario where one might go through several documents or videos that don't actively engage the user. Gamification could be used throughout the employee's tenure versus just a mandatory yearly session. It works by motivating employees to earn rewards, positive reinforcement, and recognition. There is a sense of control for employees with gamified apps and taps into intrinsic motivations, which is doing something for satisfaction versus pressure. It uses cues to action, which prompts employees to complete a task or update them on where they are and where they are going. And finally, there's a sense of competition. People are competitive by nature and like to set goals and compete with one another. Further, gamification can provide a more long-term solution that promotes ongoing learning and can be a security tool for organizations to use. For example, Hawks Hunt is a gamified platform that allows organizations to use phishing simulations and measures who falls for them, who reports them, and who ignores them. It can also be used as a reporting method for real threats and can be escalated to the security team along with options for letting them know if a user clicked on any links or input credentials. Gamified solutions can also be used by various levels depending on one's mastery of the subject. The lessons can grow harder with time. By using gamification in the context of cybersecurity, employees can have cyber threats validated without real-world consequences that data breaches entail, both in personal lives and in the workplace. So, two examples that I'm using, Accenture and DocuSign. Accenture is a global IT services and consulting company. It incorporates in-house strategic learning content to educate and train their employees. They created a program called Information Security Advocate that is used for employees of all levels. It encourages and incentivizes the use of security best practices and creates and analyzes metrics that calculate employees' security-related behaviors with clear-cut objectives meant to drive security awareness, the adoption of more secure behaviors, and reduce human-related security incidences. It engages employees by creating immersive experience, relevant areas of focus that target high-risk employees and groups, gamified activities that include incentivization and praise when completed, and personalized dashboards so employees can keep track of where they are. Accenture states that their program has made significant impacts on their organization. You could argue bias, but they state most of their geographical areas have 75% completion rate, and 99% of their employees have finished at least the first tier of this program. They also say that those who are advocates in this program outperform those who are not in phishing simulations. DocuSign is the next example, and we have all probably used it for our electronic signatures. They actually went an unconventional route by hiring Lisa Kubicki as a director of security awareness. She does not have a tech background, and although she has significant leadership development and change behavioral management experience, she basically psychology. She incorporated the use of Hawks Hunt, which was described earlier, because she wanted to encourage employees to report threats, and Hawks Hunt provided a platform to easily do this for her, and also provided a button to allow employees to report phishing, both simulated and real. Some results from DocuSign's security awareness program include a CSO 50 award, enhanced security culture, a success rate of 56.1%, and a low fail rate of 7.2%, and a growing engagement rate. Lisa stresses the importance of praising employees when they do something right, making security lessons bite-sized, and the use of open communication channels that allow employees to speak up when they see something, and also gives an outlet for leadership and management. These holistic approaches use emotional persuasion with the use of reciprocity, positive reinforcement, and gamification that helps develop better network and digital citizen employees. And finally, the conclusion. Cybersecurity education and retained security awareness is an ongoing educational process that organizations must adopt if the desire is to create a more resilient workforce. While technical tools can provide some protection against cyber attacks, ultimately, most vulnerabilities and breaches are rooted in some type of human element. While gamification is growing and is an impactful resource, it is not the end-all be-all for cybersecurity awareness and education. It should be used in conjunction with other methods reviewed today and delivered on a consistent basis to retain knowledge. However, there's still plenty of other methods and theories that can be explored and researched. Security awareness and training must be holistically implemented to engage end users with better cybersecurity practices that will not only protect their workplace data, but their own personal data and information as well. This could empower people with better life skills that are transferable with all the technology they interact with, along with hardening the organization for which they work for by creating a strong cybersecurity culture and therefore a more resilient human firewall. Any questions?
Nice presentation, Gabby. Is anyone having any question for Gabby? Okay, I think we are done for the day. If anyone wants to join any other group, so you can ask Virendra. So he'll join you to the other group. So that's it for the day. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
So, are we able to watch others?
Yeah, you can ask. Yeah, you can ask Virendra to join you in that session.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Bye.
Hi, Greg.
Yes. What's up?
Hi, join to other teams is optional or is mandatory?
No, it's optional, and I don't think I think they're all done anyway at this point. But
Oh,
just
okay.
there, there were other rooms going at the same time, and if some of them had run over and you were interested in jumping over to those, you could have, but it is not required.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Take care.
You too.